The powers of alchemy.
Let it flow. Universe flowing through my veins. Never in a rush, always staying in my lane. Niggas know my name when I'm walking in the place, and they still see my face when I'm gone. I'm on another one, I'm in my zone. I'm feeling like I'm home. Everywhere I walk, I'm walking strong. Yeah. Ancestors right behind me. I've been increasing my chi. This world, it can't define me. Ain't nothing fake about me. High key, I've been sipping my tea lightly. Yeah. Moving politely, I might just be the one. Don't need to bust a gun, gone straight from the ethers, and then I'm charged up. Bitch.
I ain't spitting a while. I've been trying to do my little singing thing, but yeah. Mouth full of clouded medicine, habits as themes. Handful of dandelion, what's up with Sunday tea? We drunk off all this shit, and I'm feeling pretty wavy. Sunbeams in the sky compliment me daily. It's like I'm implanted with transmitters, send me signals. Antennas be buzzing whenever we close enough distance. We loving, we grubbing, we fucking, we hugging. My spirit all knowing, the universe showing it work in my favor when I walk in my purpose. So sorry if it make you nervous, but you in the presence of a real life God. I understand if it fuck with your pride, but either way I'ma shine. To heal the scars, I know it's gonna take time. Yeah, to heal the scars, I know it's gonna take time. Yeah, we are divine and ain't no hiding it. Only right and embracing the light and dark side of it.
Universe running through our veins. Before we came, they knew our names. Universe running through our veins.
Something ain't adding up. Confused on purpose. The erasure of us. And if you've been paying even a little bit of attention, you could feel it. I figured I'd leave this on the screen for you so you can get a taste of where this is going. FAFO. For all of my brothers and sisters in this here United States of America. Something ain't adding up. You may not have the words yet, but you could feel that something in the way that people are talking, reacting, debating, and moving right now is off. Real off. I'm talking about this strange place we done landed in where people don't even know what's real anymore. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody got a hot take, got a reaction. But almost nobody's standing on the same page long enough to call a thing, and what it actually is. And that right there is a dangerous, because when people stop being able to identify what they're looking at, anything can get dressed as just perspective, just politics, just how somebody feels. And now the truth's got to fight for its life to be recognized. Restoring truth and sanity to American history. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Restoring truth and sanity to American, his story. His story. We are here now. And no, this is not about choosing a side. This is deeper than that. This is about what's actually happening underneath all of that. Everybody is talking. Nobody's hearing each other. Everybody's reacting and nobody really slowing down enough to ask, what are we really dealing with? And when that starts happening too long, confusion comes in and sets up house and starts acting like it's normal. People start getting used to not knowing what's true, getting used to not trusting what they see. And they start getting used to every serious conversation turning into a back and forth circus where the point gets lost before it even has a chance. You feel me? And that's not healthy. You could see it in how people move now. People are either all the way charged up, ready to argue about every little thing, or they checked all the way out because they're sick of hearing it. And it's usually one or the other. It's not that much room for middle ground. And it's too much room left for people to actually think through what's in front of them without even being pushed to one extreme or the other. And once people get forced into extremes all the time, they stop using discernment. Everything becomes emotional reaction. Everything becomes team this, team that, left, right, for it, against it, with it, without it. But what gets lost in all of that is the truth. You know what they say. The left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing, or that there's three sides to a story, his, hers, and the truth, you know? And that's what it feels like. The actual pattern, the actual issue that is underneath all of those theatrics. You got it? You might be all messed up in your head because of a lot of y'all can feel that something deeper is to the top, man. But they keep trying to explain it using surface language. They keep treating it like it's just another social media argument, another news cycle, another political season, just another round of folks being divided. Yeah. This, beloved, is bigger than people simply disagreeing. Something happened to how the truth breaks down. Everything else is shaky too. Well, if people can't even agree on what they're looking at, how are they supposed to deal with you? How are they supposed to challenge you? How are they supposed to protect themselves from you? You can't move right in a situation if you don't fully recognize or understand it. And that's why the conversation matters. Too many people are walking around with this feeling in their spirit that something ain't right, but they can't put those feelings into words. They know things feel a little strange. They know conversations feel more manipulative. Reality feels more up for debate than it should, and they know what used to be obvious now somehow needs a panel discussion. a think piece, viral clips, and 10 disclaimers before people even consider calling it what it is, and that should bother you. Confused on purpose. The erasure of us. It should bother all of us. We got soft, you know. We got soft. We got comfortable living in that confusion, and it becomes easier and easier for people to shape what they expect, what they ignore, and what they stop questioning altogether. And if you asked me, and I know you haven't, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, that's exactly why something is not adding up. Welcome to Blended Healing. Confused on purpose? While they're erasing us. Yeah, okay. Yeah. FAFO. Welcome to the latest edition of that. It's been a minute. Figured I'd bring it back up. Figured I would let you see what your person has done. I don't know if you got the memo. It was done last year. I don't know. But anyway, there it is. Trust me, I got more pages of it. Welcome to Blended. Let's get into it. Oh, I got a little something for you. I got a little something for you while we set up something else. May I have your attention to the screen?
I done survived too much. You be stressed on purpose.
When the pages of our past are torn, what gets left behind? Headlines blur, names disappear, and the arguments get louder. But the truth doesn't change. It's there, between the lines, in the silence, waiting for whoever's brave enough to read it.
Every page tells a story, but which one survives? They argue, they rewrite, they erase. Truth, racism, history, fact or feeling. Where do I stand? And now, piece by piece, they're wiping it away. Shelves left hollow, names blurred into dust, whole chapters gone. They're rewriting the story, but I see what's missing, and I won't look away. And they can't take away what's in us. So while the noise flies, I stay centered, because truth isn't up for debate. It's lived, and I carry it with me.
I let it come correct. I ain't grinding like I hate myself. That era dead. I've been tired with it, dreaming rich with no sleep. Now I choose slow progress over fast anxiety. I don't move for emergencies. That ain't mine. I don't fix chaos. I decline.
When everything is something, nothing stands out. If you go a little deeper, that's where the actual chatter starts coming in and muddying up the whole conversation. I need people to stay with me on this point. Folks get real touchy right here, real touchy. But if we're going to have a real conversation, then let's have it. One of the biggest problems right now is that everything is getting labeled the same. Every bad interaction, weird look, disagreement, inconvenient every time somebody feels slighted or rubbed the wrong way. Confused on purpose? The erasure of us. We're here today. People are real quick to throw them hands. Virtual. One word on it and keep it moving. No breakdown or anything like that. Not asking what happened. What happened? No, none of that. None of that. What is actually rooted in something deeper gets tossed in the same pile as BS. And that's the part of why people are so confused now. When everything gets put out on the same level, people stop being able to tell what they're really looking at. Everything starts sounding the same, starts feeling the same. And when that happens, real situations don't land the way that they're supposed to. Everything starts feeling the same. And that's the danger in over labeling. It doesn't help the conversation. It weakens it. It takes something serious and stretches it so thin that now people don't even know when they're supposed to lean in and pay attention. They hear the same language over and over and over again, like, oh my God, so over it, so over it. There's no distinction anymore. Nothing new about it, no explanations, and after a while, people stop hearing it altogether. Want to hear that? Every issue is fake? Nah. But because the way it's being called out has gotten lazy, repetitive, and all over the place, it's like, what are you talking about? For real. So I want to be clear because people like to twist stuff when they hear something they don't like. What I'm saying to you is this. If you call everything the exact same thing without any level of discernment, then actually the word itself starts losing its weight in conversation before it even starts. People stop listening before they just stop listening, man, because they already felt that they had the conversation already and that they already know where it's going. And once that happens, you already lost part of the room before the truth even had a chance to sat down. That's why context matters. People love to twist stuff. That's why language matters. That's why precision matters. Everything does not carry the same weight. It does not hit the same way. It does not come from any sense. Here's something else. If you are serious about people understanding what they're seeing and what they're experiencing, right? Then you can keep throwing everything into one big blender and expecting clarity to come out of that. And that's how that works. All that does is create more and more confusion, pushback, eye rolling more than being dismissed type of situation, and people walking away from conversations they actually need to be having. Bring that back. And if we're going to be real, some folks have gotten so used to reacting off of emotion that they don't even realize that they're skipping the most important question, which is asking, what actually is this? What exactly is this? Not how did this make me feel first, not what to do I want to call this first, but what is what happened. What pattern is this connected to? What context is this sitting behind? Because if you don't ask these questions, then you're not calling it out with understanding. You're just reading and reading and listening, and you're not reacting with that understanding. And reacting without understanding is exactly how conversations lose their power. So, yeah, let's play it real simple. If everything is at the same level, then nothing stands out when it actually matters. And that's the problem. Because when somebody or something real deep and undeniable does happen, now it has to fight through all the extra bullshit just to be recognized for what it is. Confused on purpose while they're erasing us. Smoke and mirrors. And some of us took the bait and are actually working with them against us. The erasure of us. My. Is it worth all the views? It's gotta be, right? Yeah. I'm an old school chick, man. I don't see how people don't see this. But carry on. Carry on. Because when somebody or something real deep and undeniable does happen, now it has to fight through all the extra bullshit just to be recognized for what it is. Now it has to compete with every exaggerated take, rushed conclusion, mislabeled moments that came before it. And that makes it harder for people to see clearly and then respond and not react. Harder for people to trust what they are hearing. So, no, the issue isn't just about what's happening. Sometimes the issue is also how we're naming it or framing it, or carelessly some of these conversations are being handled in the first place. Yep. Confused are we? On purpose. While we're being erased from history. Okay. Carry on. FAFO. Because at the end of the day, when they look at your card, it's going to read the same as mine. Just to let you know. I'll be right back.
I done survived too much. You be stressed on purpose.
When the pages of our past are torn, what gets left behind? Headlines blur, names disappear, and the arguments get louder. But the truth doesn't change. It's there, between the lines, in the silence, waiting for whoever's brave enough to read it.
Every page tells a story, but which one survives? They argue, they rewrite, they erase. Truth, racism, history, fact or feeling. Where do I stand? And now, piece by piece, they're wiping it away. Shelves left hollow, names blurred into dust, whole chapters gone. They're rewriting the story, but I see what's missing, and I won't look away. And they can't take away what's in us. So while the noise flies, I stay centered, because truth isn't up for debate. It's lived. And I carry it with me.
I let it come correct. I ain't grinding like I hate myself. That era dead. I've been tired with it, dreaming rich with no sleep. Now I choose slow progress over fast anxiety. I don't move for emergencies. That ain't mine. I don't fix chaos. I decline.
Have people stop listening by design? Now, if we go to the other side of it, because this is where the whole thing starts getting even more twisted. It's one thing for everything to start getting labeled the same. That already creates confusion by itself. But then you got the other side of the problem. And this side right here is just as real. People stopped listening. Straight like that. They stopped listening. Not some of them, a whole lot of them. And that's where the shutdown comes in. Because now, for a lot of folks, certain words don't even open up a conversation anymore. They shut it down before it even starts. The second certain topics come up, you can feel it. You can feel people mentally check out in real time. You can see it in their face, the eye roll, the smirk, the sigh, the here we go again energy. You can hear it in how quick people get defensive, how fast they start dismissing, how little room they leave for anything to actually be explained. It's like the second they think they know where the conversation is headed, they close the door before you can even get your foot in it. And let's be honest, that's where a lot of the conversation keeps dying. Not because nothing real is being said, but because people have already made up their mind before the sentence is even finished. They've already decided what category to put it in. They've already decided what side they think you're on, and they've already decided whether they're going to take it seriously or not. And once people start doing that, the conversation is already cooked before it even had a chance to breathe. That's why so much stuff now gets met with immediate resistance instead of real discussion. It doesn't even matter if the point is valid or not. People don't stay around long enough to find out. They hear one phrase, one word, one topic, and boom, walls go up. Ears close, attitude kicks in, dismissal comes in before understanding ever gets a chance. And if we're going to be real, that's not just happening because people are ignorant. Sometimes, yeah, ignorance is definitely in the room. Let's not lie about that. But that's not always what's happening. A lot of times, what you're really seeing is fatigue and distrust. That's the part people keep skipping over. Because after a while, when people feel like they've heard the same argument 1,000 different ways with no movement, no resolution, no real change, they stop opening themselves up to it. They get worn down. They get irritated before the conversation even starts because in their mind, they already know how it's going to go. They already think it's going to be another back and forth, another circular argument, another emotionally loaded exchange where nobody actually leaves with anything but frustration. So they shut down early. They fully understand what's being said and disagree with it. But because they develop a reflex, and the reflex is dangerous. Once dismissal becomes a reflex, people stop hearing what's actually being said in front of them. They start responding to what they assume you're about to say instead of what you're actually saying. And that right there is how whole conversations get buried before they even get off the ground. People start reacting to the title, reacting to the tone, reacting to the trigger point, reacting to what it reminds them of, but not actually sitting in the substance of what's being laid out. That's why so many conversations now feel dead on arrival. You ever be talking to somebody and you could tell halfway through that they already left the room mentally? That's what I'm talking about. They physically there, but they gone. They're waiting for their turn to dismiss it, waiting for their turn to counter it, waiting for their turn to say, well, it's not that serious. Why it's exaggerated. Why people are doing too much, why folks need to move on, why everything ain't about race, why y'all always make it about that. They waiting to reject it before they ever sat with it. And that's not conversation. That's defense. That's not understanding. That's avoidance dressed up as certainty. And when enough people start moving like that, now you got a whole environment where real things can't even be unpacked properly. Because too many people are showing up already closed, already irritated, already suspicious, already assuming, already tired, already over it before they even know what it is this time. That's why I keep saying, this ain't just about disagreement. This is about people losing the ability or maybe the willingness to actually sit with something long enough to understand it. And once that starts happening, truth has a harder time getting through because now it has to fight people's assumptions before it even can fight misinformation. That's a problem. Because if every real conversation gets met with eye rolling, shutdown, sarcasm, suspicion, and immediate resistance, then where exactly is anything supposed to go from there? How is anything supposed to be addressed if people don't even have the patience to hear it out? How are people supposed to learn, recognize patterns, challenge what's wrong, or even sharpen their own understanding if they cut everything off at the neck before it even develops? And let's keep it all the way real. Some people don't even realize how checked out they have become. They think that they're being logical. They think that they're being objective. They think that they're just not falling for everything. But a lot of times, what they're really doing is operating out of an emotional exhaustion they never named and distrust they never unpacked. They're not neutral. They're worn out. They're not always seeing clearly. They're bracing. And once you understand that, you start seeing a whole shutdown differently because now it's not just about people don't care. Sometimes it's deeper than that. Sometimes people have heard so much noise, so much exaggeration, so much recycled argument, so much half truth, so much online nonsense that by the time something really real finally does come across their path, they don't have the openness left to receive it properly. And that's where the problem is again. Because now real things are getting ignored. Not always because they're fake, but because people are too worn down to separate what's real from what's extra. And if folks can't hear what matters anymore because they've gotten too used to shutting down, then the problem ain't just what's being said. The problem is that people stopped listening a long time ago. You dig? All right. Be right back. Confused on purpose? While we're enduring the erasure of us. But carry on.
Welcome to Shamaka Essential.
Mystery box, what's inside? Lunar drift, to guide the night. Tarot spreads, visions clear. Chimeka essentials is always near it. Chimeka essentials, house of blessings running. Spray so low, feel the magic presence. Chimeka essentials, house of blessings forward every night, every way. Lift your spirit rising.
The House of Holistic Royalty by Kells is dedicated to delivering premium, nature-driven remedies that support the mind, body, and spirit. Her mission is to cultivate whole body healing while inspiring self-love and self-honoring practices through the timeless wisdom of Meiji. Every blend, tincture, and tea is crafted with intention. Organic ingredients, sustainable sourcing, and a whole lot of love. Because when you honor your body, you honor your life.
Caught in between, confused on purpose with the erasure of us. And this right here, this is the part I really need people to hear, because this is where most people actually are, even if nobody says it. Most people are not all the way over here, and they're not all the way over there either. Most people are stuck somewhere in the middle, trying to figure out what the hell they're looking at and what they're even supposed to do with it. And I think that gets overlooked way too much, because the loudest people always seem like everybody picked a side already. Like everybody knows exactly what they believe, exactly where they stand, exactly what's real and what's not. But that's not true. That's not most people. Most people are caught in between. And when I say caught in between, I mean exactly that. They are not choosing sides. They're trying to make sense of what they're seeing. That's the real audience right there. Not the people who already got all their opinions lined up and polished and ready to go. Not the people who got a response for everything before the sentence even finishes. Not the people who made being loud their whole personality. I'm talking about the people who are sitting back watching all this play out and quietly asking themselves, okay, so what is really going on? They're trying to understand what's true without getting swallowed up by either extreme. They're trying to keep their footing in the middle of all of this noise. And that's not easy right now. If we keep it a thou wow, confusion is growing. And it's growing because too much is coming at people at once from too many different directions with too many different meanings attached to the same things. One side says one thing, the other side says the exact opposite, and somewhere in the middle, a whole bunch of people trying to figure out who's actually telling the truth and who's just talking. That's where a lot of people are living right now. They're not all over concerned or convinced by one side, and they damn sure don't trust the other side either. So they're sitting there trying to sort through it all without losing their own mind in the process. And that middle space, whew, that middle space is a tricky place to be. Because when you're caught in between and you start second guessing yourself and you start questioning your own read on things, you start wondering if you're overreacting, underreacting, missing something, seeing too much, or not seeing enough. You hear one person say, that's exactly what this is. And then another person says, nah, y'all are dragging it. And then after a while, you start feeling like, well, damn, what am I even looking at then? And then that right there is where a lot of people are. Not because they're slow, not because they're slow, not because they're weak. not because they don't care, but because the environment around them is muddy as hell and they're trying not to get played by either side. That's why a lot of people have gone quiet. And I need folks to understand that silence does not always mean agreement. It doesn't always mean apathy either. It doesn't always mean somebody don't care. A lot of times silence means people are still trying to process. They're still trying to make sense of things before they open their mouth and say something they don't fully stand on yet. They're still watching, still observing, still collecting, still trying to see what's real and what's smoke. That's why you got so many people now who are watching but not speaking. They're scrolling, they're listening, they're peeping conversations, they're hearing what people say in public and what people say behind closed doors. They're seeing how folks react to certain topics. They're noticing who gets loud about one thing and quiet about another. They're watching who's informed and who's just emotional. They're watching who's thoughtful and who's just trying to win an argument. And they're watching all of it, but they're not jumping in. And honestly, I don't even blame them. Because if every time somebody opens their mouth, they get dragged into some extreme they never signed up for, why would they want to be quick to speak? If every time somebody says a real question, they get treated like they're either dumb, disloyal, uninformed, problematic, or part of the problem, why would they feel safe enough to process out loud? That's part of the issue too. Too many people have gotten punished for trying to think in real time. Too many people have gotten shamed for not immediately knowing what camp they belong in. So instead of speaking too soon, they fall back and just watch. And that watching, that's not empty. I know where I stand. I know what I have observed. I know what I continue to observe. That's just my opinion. But you know what they say about opinions. The watching that people are trying to survive the confusion without letting it take over how they think. Because once confusion gets deep enough, people don't know what counts anymore. And that's the real issue. What matters, what doesn't, what's serious, what's exaggerated, what deserves pushback, what deserves understanding, what deserves to be called out, what deserves more context, what's real, what's reach, what's agenda, what's truth, what's reaction, what's pain, what's projection. People are trying to sort all of that out in real time with no clean map and no trusted guide. That's why I keep saying the middle is where the real tension is, because the people in the middle are not looking for a slogan. They're not looking for a side to blindly join. They're not looking for some loud, oversimplified answer just so they can feel included in a conversation. They're looking for something solid, something that makes sense, something that holds up, something that doesn't require them to shut their brain off just to participate. And honestly, that's who I'm talking to in this whole thing. They're people who know something feels off but are trying to figure it out exactly what. The people who can feel the change but don't fully trust the explanations being thrown at them. The people who are watching the same situation get interpreted 10 different ways and are sitting there like, okay, but what is this really? That's the middle. That's the reason this part matters so much, is because if nobody speaks to the people in the middle, then they get left to sort through all of this mess by themselves. And when people get left alone in confusion long enough, they either shut down completely, drift into whatever voice sounds the most confident, or stop believing anything could be understood clearly at all. And that right there, Because once people lose confidence in their ability to recognize what they're seeing, they become easier to sway, easier to manipulate, easier to mislead, and easier to keep stuck in cycles of reaction instead of understanding. And that's why this middle space matters so much. Because it's not empty. It's full of people trying to make sense of a world that keeps moving the goalpost while acting like everybody should already know the rules. And if you ask me, and maybe you're not, that's exactly why so many people are caught in the between right now. Not because they don't care, not because they're weak, not because they're scared, but because they're trying to make sense of what they are seeing without getting swallowed by the nonsense on either side. I'll be right back.
Fougère. Feel the pulse beneath your feet. And breath of reflection. Every step a choice. Welcome to your frequency of the soul. Every heartbeat, synchronized frequency of the soul. Vended healing realms. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Healing is work. Shadows arise. You must not shirk. Real talk, no fluff. Step in the light. Integration is God, where transformation is might. Move with intention. Stay rooted, stand tall. The path is the long, but we answer the call. Wisdom in rhythm, proving a sound. Centered in self, feet on the ground.
Before we go any further, and that right there is exactly why this conversation had to go first. Because before we even get into the deeper layers of what's being done, what's being changed, what's being erased, and what's being played with in real time, we had to deal with the condition people are already in. Confused, frustrated, worn down, distrustful, pulled in too many different directions at once. Because if we don't deal with that part first, then everything else just sounds more like noise on top of noise. And that's really what the first part was about. It was about naming the environment, naming the setup, naming the reason why so many people feel like something is off but can't always explain it cleanly. The truth is, people have been hit from both sides. On one side, everything getting thrown into the same pile until nothing stands out the way it should. On the other side, people so over it, so guarded, so worn out that they don't even hear what's being said anymore. In the middle of all of that, you got a whole lot of people trying to make sense of what they're seeing without getting swallowed up by the confusion. That's where we are. And if we're being honest, that is not a good place to be for too long. Once confusion starts feeling normal, people get easier to be influenced, easier to distract, easier to steer, easier to keep arguing in circles while something else is happening right in front of their face. That's exactly why we had to slow this down and call it for what it is. So if you've been feeling like something isn't adding up, if you've been feeling like conversations don't go the way that they used to, if you've been watching people either overreact, shut down, or just disappear into the background while the whole atmosphere feels weird as hell, you're not bugging. You're picking up on something real. The issue is most people are trying to explain a deeper setup, with surface level language, and that's why so much keeps getting missed. But this is just a setup, because now that we have dealt with that, the shutdown and the people caught in between, now we can get into the next layer of it for real. The next layer is where it starts getting even more intentional, even more calculated, even more, okay, so that's what's really going on here? Yeah. And that's where FAFO comes in. Because in the next installment, we're getting into what happens when people keep playing with the truth, history, and public understanding like there ain't no consequences attached to it. We're going to talk about what gets removed, what gets softened, and what gets rewritten, and why people keep acting like that's harmless when it's absolutely not. So, yeah, this first part, necessary. But the next part, that's where it's going to start getting real uncomfortable. And with that being said, thank you for stopping through. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you on the next installment of FAFO, Confused on Purpose, the erasure of us. Be well, stay safe out in them streets, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace be with you all. Ashe.
I done survived too much. You be stressed on purpose.
When the pages of our past are torn, what gets left behind? Headlines blur, names disappear, and the arguments get louder. But the truth doesn't change. It's there, between the lines, in the silence, waiting for whoever's brave enough to read it.
Every page tells a story, but which one survives? They argue, they rewrite, they erase. Truth, racism, history, fact or feeling. Where do I stand? And now, piece by piece, they're wiping it away. Shelves left hollow, names blurred into dust, whole chapters gone. They're rewriting the story, but I see what's missing, and I won't look away. And they can't take away what's in us. So while the noise flies, I stay centered, because truth isn't up for debate. It's lived. And I carry it with me.
I let it come correct. I ain't grinding like I hate myself. That era dead. I've been tired with a dreaming rich with no sleep. Now I choose slow progress over fast anxiety. I don't move for a murder. Chase respect. That ain't mine. I don't fix it. You become it. Watch how the room adjusts. Yeah. Honor ain't loud, it's precise. It's discipline dressed up nice. It's choosing growth over spite. Even when you're right, it's saying I stand on that and meaning it fully. It's never letting ego turn your wisdom into bully. It's posture before the handshake. Integrity you can't fake. It's walking in the room like a spirit wide awake. Yeah. Spirit wide awake. Stand tall, 10 toes, no bend, that's honor. Don't break, don't pretend. Stand firm, no need to explain. That's honor, power with for stand tall. 10 toes, no bend, that's honor. Don't break, don't pretend. Stand firm, no need to explain. That's honor, power is it hard to do without collapse. Accountability intact, it's never weaponizing facts just to win and then react. It's boundaries that don't scream, it's self-work that don't scheme. It's knowing who you are without performing for a dream. Honor don't chase it, attracts it, don't fold it, adapts. It's how you speak when you angry, it's how you move when you hurt. It's how you keep your name clean in a world that loves dirt, yeah. It's not reacting fast, it's responding wise. It's checking your reflection before correcting other lives. It's protecting sacred spaces from gossiping, from spite. It's not dimming who you are, but you don't gotta fight. It's leadership in silence. It's courage without noise. It's grown woman decisions, not emotional toys. Honor is the code, not the mood, not the trend, the code.